Good morning, traders. Gates W. Adams here with another Monday edition. We have a great show in store for you today. We are going to be talking to Fasil in Hawaii. Now, fortunately, he is not in a part of Hawaii that is being affected right now, but I want to take this moment to just make the comment that our thoughts and prayers are going out to those that have been affected by the tragedy that's going on down there. But for today's show, we've got some extra special excitement going on here. Fasil, who we're going to be talking to today, is coming off of the heels of his best month ever as a trader. So we're going to have an opportunity to talk about that. Speaking of best months ever, we want to give a quick shout out to traders who have been experiencing some high levels of success with Apex Trader Funding. These are the top 10 paid traders over the course of the last pay period, which is just the first half of August. Those of you who know Apex Trader Funding does do 2 payout periods a month. So this is just for that first pay period. And it took $215,000 in payout to make that number 1 spot and over $52,000 to make that top 10. And of course, over almost $17 million paid out by Apex Trader Funding to traders in just the last 90 days. And this is why we get so excited about what we do here. So on that note, let's get ready for an awesome show on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now.
Fasil, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, man. It's early for you, isn't it?
Yeah, 5 a.m.
5 a.m. And I know you've been up for what, at least a couple hours now, right?
Yeah, 2 hours. Get up at 3 a.m. typically.
So that you can kind of get that U.S. Open?
Yeah, if I have a good streak of 5 green days or so, then I'll give myself permission to sleep in, maybe take a day off, or just check out the afternoon session to see if I get it set up.
With the typical 3 a.m. start time, that's a pretty nice carrot, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So before we jump into everything, of course, want to make the quick note. We are, of course, as usual, giving away 3 Apex Trader Funding evaluations today. Please take a moment if you would like to get your hands on one of those and fill out the form that you see in the chat right there. Make sure to grab that. That is an incredible opportunity, as we'll talk more about today. So, Fasil, you have been trading for about how long now?
I would say I am approaching 2 years, so somewhere around 20 months now.
It's about 20 months. Okay, so you and I had an opportunity to talk leading into this show. So let's talk a little bit about those early days. What did you start off trading when you first started?
I was trading options, and I had a friend who does real estate investing. He's like very successful. This guy I grew up with. He lives in Vegas, and he like sells commercial real estate, and he does swing trading. And I think he really had a lot of success with the bull run in 21, 22. And he would just play earnings reports and do these long dated options, holding for like 3-4 weeks, just based on just all calls.
Gotcha.
And he was telling me about it. He told me to order this book, and then I started looking into it. And then I found out that a lot of people just do the intraday trading with the 5 or 10 minute holds, or even the shortest 1 minute, and that kind of fit my personality a bit more. So then I got an account on Thinkorswim and E-Trade, and I was just doing just based off news reports, like fundamental analysis, which in retrospect, I feel like fundamental analysis is always going to be inferior to just price action and technical analysis, because there's so much manipulation that takes place that you don't know you have the news, good, bad, who knows where the chart's going to go,
Okay.
But if you, yeah.
So that's a pretty interesting insight. So what brought you to that realization? Because there's traders out there, there's institutional traders and professionals that will tell you that fundamental is the end all be all. If it's if it's a good value, people will buy. If it's priced too high, people will sell. So what brought you to price action and the actual movement and manipulation of the markets?
Well, there's a quote that really sticks in my mind that says that the markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent, right? So if you're a short-term trader and you're trying to base your positions off of fundamental analysis, you'll never be able to sit through all of the swings. And if you really get down to what moves price, I was listening to this guy, Dr. Rand Paul, I think his name is, but he was talking about this idea of the institutions and the banks and how they always want to bid low. They want a discount. So they
Sure.
will manipulate price to a level where they can get in cheaper and then take it in the way they want to go. So that's why you often see a Judas swing, perhaps, where in the first 10 minutes of the open, price goes one way. Like even today, we had that. Price goes one way, went up to the 5-day moving average. It actually did a double top there, big wicks, and then drops down. And then it's really a big inducement for retail traders to say, oh, look at all these green bars, big green bars. Let's get in, let's buy. And then before you know it, it's gone. And price will never go to that high today again. Those people are all stuck up there, you know?
So not to put on the tinfoil hat or anything like that, but you're suggesting that these big guys are driving the markets in the direction that they want?
Yeah, there's actually, it's crazy if you look at like these investment firms like BlackRock, and there's like 3 or 4 that own like 90% of interest in the majority of the S&P 500 companies. So there's,
Right.
there's a few people or a few companies that are kind of controlling everything. So they could have plans that we have no idea what's going on, you know?
Right. Now, of course, global manipulation aside, this as a trader means that perhaps the fundamental analysis is not necessarily going to get you what you want in terms of being a retail trader.
Yeah, especially for someone who does intraday trading. I
Right.
think maybe if you're doing swing trading, like, or if you're holding for a really long time, like a Warren Buffett kind of style, then you can kind of base off the fundamentals of a company. And when it's cheap, buy and just hold, because inherently the market is a bull market. It's going to go up. It has done that for forever and ever. So if you're doing that, but if you're just trying to get in trades, like 3 or 4 trades in a single day, then you have to look at price action. Like, so what I do, like I look for levels, I look for manipulation. Manipulation is actually a key, like where I see where people are stuck and then go the other way.
Right.
And then I plot the previous day's high of day, the low of day, the open from this day. And like today, the Friday's close was a key level where when we dropped, we went all the way down to Friday's close, and there's like 7 or 8 wicks right at Friday's close. And I caught a nice chunk of that on
Sure.
on my I have some evaluations going along with my PA account. So today I had a pretty good day today, actually.
Perfect. Well, we'll get into those charts here in just a second. I'm actually really excited to see what you've been looking at and how that's been working out, because another thing we talked about are your stats, which are pretty exciting to see. So, all of that said, I wanted to touch on the fact that we've had a couple of European traders on the show over the course of the last few weeks whose schedules are drastically different from, like, for me. I'm in Central Time, so I'm an hour off of the market times. And some of these guys are trading the U.S. Open in the evenings, but you're on the other end of the spectrum. So when it comes to, you talked about the fact that you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. What does your prep look like for getting into trading? Because of the time issue, any sort of extra prep time you have is going to dig into that sleep time, if we're being honest. So what does that morning prep look like for you before you get into the charts?
Well, first, I want to talk about sleep. Sleep is really important. And for me, I kind of subscribe to this idea of that we are evolved to kind of sleep at sunset, like the rise and fall with the sun. So they actually say, like in sleep studies, that the hours between 8 and midnight actually are more valuable, and they
Right.
almost count as double. So if I can get to bed between 8 and 9, I'm pretty good to wake up at 3 a.m. Like I feel well rested. But when I get up, actually, I try to do some prep work before I go to bed, so I'll get on the charts and go ahead and plot all the action from the previous day that I'm going to use to guide my trading. And then in the morning, I just put on the opening line, the opening print, and I'll go for a walk. Maybe make this drink with ginger and apple cider vinegar and lemon juice and garlic, And yeah, it's like an immune system and metabolism kind of thing. And I'll do that. And it's just a routine that I have. And I don't have any coffee like while I'm trading. It's kind of like a reward that I have for myself for after I get done. Because the last thing I want to do is kind of be amped up. You know, the whole idea for me is to be as level and as steady as possible so I can really see the charts. Like I don't want to necessarily be in a hype state or hyper state, a caffeine-induced state anyway. So no coffee before trading.
So let's take a look at those charts. And you said you've got a couple of screenshots that you can share with us and that we can take a look at here. And then let's see here.
Yeah.
We may need to hit that present button. I don't know that we got a chance to do that before we jumped into the show.
Can I log in from a second device? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna do that now.
Yeah, my apologies there. I like to try to have this managed ahead of time. So while you're pulling that up, you know, I say with a grain of salt, the tinfoil hats. Yes, of course, we all know that that there is absolutely some market manipulation going on in these, especially in that short term. Armor Place, we've got a hedge fund manager on here, and I don't know if we can call that advice, but certainly an indication of what some people might be looking at. So it's interesting to see. Everybody's got a different take on what's going on, what's not going on, and how to best fully take advantage of that. So definitely interesting to see the ways that different people trade based on what they see as the most important piece of information. And NASDAQ Futuro, I'm with you. I'm a NQ and an MNQ trader myself, also through Apex Trader Funding. I love them as well. I know that's going to come as a shock to everybody listening to the show. So at any rate, let's see how we are looking here. Facil, what are we looking like?
Can he add my other screen? Is that showing up or not?
Yeah, we're good. You just got to change it to whatever you want.
All right. Inception. See if we can pull that over.
So whatever screen your tab you're trying to share, just click on that.
Oh, okay, got it. Can I share like my actual screen, like one of my screens instead of the Chrome tab, or does it have to be a Chrome tab?
No, you can pull up a whole monitor.
Yeah, so if you click on present, it'll give you the option to do a screen, a tab, a window, all of that.
Okay. Present, share screen.
And of course, while we're waiting on that, if you have not done so yet, please make sure you fill out that form and get your opportunity to pick up one of those evaluations that will be given away. We'll be announcing those at the end of the show, and you will get an email by the end of the day with details on how to get that set up. That is just nothing but opportunity right there. Take full advantage. You definitely don't want to miss out on that.
Oh, we're having some, it's not sharing for some reason, but you know what? I'll just do a screenshot. We'll do that instead.
All right.
So a screenshot of today's action here. And let me just send this here. One moment.
If there's a certain chart you want me to share, I can share that as well.
Okay, no, I got it.
All right.
All right. And again, my apologies on that, folks. We will have this up here in just a moment.
Okay. Close that.
All right. While we get that fixed up, in the meantime, I did notice something that seems to be going on and around in a couple of different places in the country today, and I'm not exactly sure how that's going to affect markets, but we seem to be having a bit of a supply chain issue pretty much globally. Turns out that right now we're having this huge bottleneck through the Panama Canal, which I guess what I saw this morning is that there's over 200 tankers stacked up, not necessarily tankers, but 200 ships stacked up in the Panama Canal. Trying to get through, and I think that the previous, if I'm recalling my information correctly, the previous max was like 36. So we have this massive, massive bottleneck of ships going from point A to point B. I did not catch which direction they're going and where they're stuck, but you take on that, and you take on top of that 100-year-old trucking company here in the U.S. that just closed their doors a couple of weeks ago due to some strike information. All of a sudden, we have the makings of another supply chain issue. Now, this is not a sky is falling sort of commentary, but the fact is that we actually have some potential logistical challenges in things getting from point A to point B, and that is going to definitely have an effect on the markets. That's going to have an effect all the way down to the grocery store and on the goods that you buy day by day. So as we start taking a look at everything that's going on around us, it makes me wonder how many of us are really taking a look at the news and what's going on around the world and seeing what might potentially affect the markets. I will say that for me, that was not a huge factor, but it's becoming a bigger factor now as I get a little bit more experienced. How are we looking?
Good. Okay. Am I back in?
I think we're back in.
Okay.
We have.
Yeah. Let's look at this here. All right. So this is today's price action, right?
Okay.
And you can see what I'm talking about. Actually, this level right here is the 5-day moving average. And I don't know if you've ever tried to plot the moving averages, the 5-day moving average. But for me, I consider the 5-day and the 20-day moving averages to be a trend indicator. And when the 5-day crosses below the 20, that kind of indicates that we're in a downward trend. And once that happens, the 5-day will act as resistance. So I have this chart on TradingView right here, and you can see right on the top here, this is the 5-day moving average, and we have a double top there. And this whole move up, it started in pre-market, and that's what I consider to be the manipulation. Okay. And if you actually were to draw a trend line, you can see that the initial move down is just is not the real move down. So you have to wait for that trend line I just drew to break, and when that breaks, then we're going down.
Gotcha.
So some people could get fooled on the first one, but so I use the first few candles to draw a trend line, and that is in essence, that is a controlled buying algorithm where the big institutions are driving price up to get to a level where they're going to be able to fill the amount of orders to sell such a big position. So that's what's all those candles up there in wicks at the 5-day moving average is distribution for the dump. Okay. And then on my chart over here, this is my Ninja Trader. See the green line is the close from Friday. This green dash line, and you can see that we came all the way down. And look at all these wicks here. And I took this area here. This consolidation was low volume, and I got in here on 4 evaluation accounts and made $1,000 on each account to here.
That's phenomenal. 1357 MTV likes your strategy. He is right there with you, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I can show you my my P&L from today. I have it with my account numbers blocked out.
Hey, let's take a look. I think that's one thing that really helps newer traders start to see the potential and the reality behind what we do here as traders and as funded traders as well.
So on my PAs, I have 4 PAs there, and they are this is my 3rd day trading them, and they are almost at the payout threshold. So I'm looking at an 8K withdrawal after I get $500 more on those. Coming up on the pay period between September 1st and the 5th. So I'm happy with that level. And the thing also, like, you don't really have to shoot for the stars with these 50K PA accounts. If you can, the max withdrawal for the first 3 months is $2,000. So if you can make $200 average once you clear the cushion per day, per trading day over 10 days, that's $2,000. That's your max withdrawal that you can do anyway. So once you hit that, so I think if you really step back, like, that's the issue I think that a lot of people have is like we lose a sense of the value of money when we're trading and we see thousands of dollars, but really, like, $200 over multiple accounts is a lot of money. I work as currently as a high school science teacher, and I think it works out to about $250 to $300 per day teaching. So this is significant. So the trade that with my PAs was actually, I took the bounce up to I took the second position here with this resistance off the 20, and I figured we were going to go and test the 5-day MA again. So we went up and took out this liquidity. So my PAs, I went from here to here, and that's where this amount came from, this 387 about per account. One of them, I think there was some slippage with one of them got billed late or something. So that's why one of them is 462. And then I switched over. I wanted to trade these accounts separately in 2 batches. And I think moving forward, once these 4 evals get to the target, they have about between $800 and $900 to go. Once they get to the target, I think I will trade in 2 batches of 4 just to spread out my risk. And with my evals as well, I also trade a little bit more aggressively. So for example, here on in this position, I actually entered on this wick with 2 ES contracts. And then we retraced up here, and I was down like 300, but then we started breaking down. And when this red candle took out the bottom of the green and took out the opening print, which is the cyan line, I actually added 6 contracts.
Oh, wow.
So I was holding 8, and I took it down to there.
Beautiful.
And that's where I got this $1,000 per four accounts, and those are on, I think, day 3 as well. Those are on day 3.
You're almost passed on those as well. We're getting pretty close anyway.
Yeah. And, another reason why I justify kind of let's see if I can get back my front facing camera. Why I justify that aggression is because of the value associated with the evals, with the discount. So like with the 90% off, those evaluations were $16. And for me, like, it's worth it to take big positions and risk it. And my win rate is high, as you had mentioned earlier. It's somewhere around 80% since January. My only issue is holding on to losers and taking like big losses. Like, I've only had 8 red days this year, but it's really affected my P&L because those days were so large, including one day in January of minus 28,000. So, but that pain is good because
that will definitely take its toll. And obviously, there's some risk management and perhaps some mindset factors that could come into play there. And I did want to offer one quick clarification. You talked about the maximum payout, and of course, that's just for brand new accounts that are the first couple of months. That
the first 3 months, and specifically that amount differs per account size. So that's with the 50K account, it's capped at 2K for the first 3 months, and then even from the screenshot you showed at the beginning of the show with some of the traders on there, like the one guy, Caldoon, he was taking out that max for 3 months. So he had 5 50K accounts, and he was going 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. And then once he cleared that, his next 3 payouts were 80,000, 60,000, 70,000.
That's very cool. That's awesome.
But you need to be able to withstand 60 trading days in a PA account, which I think is very challenging.
Right. Well, and again, that comes to that consistency and that mindset and that discipline, which I think is something that every trader needs to learn. If they don't learn it early, they're going to suffer the consequences of it later. At least that's been my experience. So let's talk a little bit about the opportunity and sort of kind of what happened to you in the past, because I know that when you first started trading, you weren't trading as a funded trader, were you?
No, yeah. So back to the beginning. So I started with looking into the swing trading, and then I actually registered for this class that was teaching options trading. It was also just based on technical analysis and price action. It was $6,000, and I took that class. And the end goal for every student in that class was to get to a point where you were taking 0 DTE positions with 100 contracts.
Okay.
And looking for small moves, like 10 cents, 15 cents. So $1,000, $1,500. And you were just looking for 1 trade per day. And it was actually pretty reliable, because if you're just looking for such a small move, and it was all based on finding confirmation, like you have zones, like major supply, major demand, and then you just look for 3 candles in your favor, and you get in, and you look for a small move and you get out, and you don't leave any runners. And that actually worked. It worked for me. And I had a month, like back in April of 2022, where I was making somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 every day. But then same thing, I got into a position where I sold at support and just held it and held it. And then I was like, oh, this is going to be a day where we're going to be range bound. And then I added at the top, and it was a trending day, and I totally just blew my account. I lost. And then there was actually a few days like that. So I ended up losing around $50,000 of my own money after making a significant amount. But, you know, like that day, and then even what I did in January, I think like trading, it's important if you compare it to learning how to walk, like a baby, right? When a baby's learning how to walk, they have to learn how to fall first.
Right.
And you have to learn how to every which way of falling. Once you learn and you fall every different kind of way, then you know how not to fall. Then you can start walking confidently, and then you can start running. So I think that pain associated with those mistakes and those bad decisions, they're only really negative if you don't learn from them and you don't change your process moving forward. And I think it's also, I mean, many people say it's tuition. You know, if you want to learn how to do this thing is hard. You know, it's almost unbelievable when you tell people that you're going to wake up and press a few buttons and make thousands of dollars. You know,
But
and
the flip side of the experience is that you had enough good days leading into that you actually had some confidence in knowing that it would work. You just had a bad couple of days, right?
Yeah, and you know, I was really thinking this weekend actually, like, you know, if I'm capable of losing 28,000 in one day, then I'm capable of making that.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what other people are doing. This is a zero-sum game. One person wins, one person loses. So that's the whole idea of me like looking for manipulation, looking for trap traders. And then if you can get in on the other side of that, you're like the people who are stuck and people who don't want to let go, like you're taking their money. And it's a lot of people. And then that's why the reason why 95% of retail fail, it's all part of the balance, because how else are the big boys going to make their money?
Right.
You need 100,000 people losing $1,000 to make 10 million.
Right. Well, and then of course, right before we actually announced the winners of those evaluations. So with that experience, you knew that there was an opportunity there, but you felt the pain of that loss. What did moving into that funded scope do for you in terms of being able to move you back into the space of trading?
So I was still struggling with options after April all the way until about this time last year, maybe July. And that's when I found actually a different prop firm. And I had seen Apex as well, but at that time, the rules for Apex withdrawals kind of put your withdrawal further away. I think you had to have 30 trading days before you could request your first withdrawal. And I was kind of anxious to get money, which is in retrospect is also kind of foolish, because the amount of money you can make is worth waiting for and doing it correctly. And it's taken me this long to learn that. So I was like, forget Apex, 30 days. I can't wait 30 days, but here I am a year later, you know? So in December, Apex changed their rules. They had the Cyber Monday sale, and they changed it to going from 1 withdrawal per month to 2 per month. They changed the time on the evaluations, I think, from 20 days to 10 days. And then they changed, 7 now.
From 10 to 7.
And then they also changed the amount of time from when you're funded to requesting a payout to 10 days. And that was, I think, 30. So then I was like, oh, and they had a sale, it was 90% off, like right around Christmas time. So I got in a bunch of accounts. I actually passed my first 6 evaluations, and my first 3, I earned $48,000 in the first 2 weeks of January.
That's unbelievable.
But then I ended up only making 1 2K withdrawal from that because I had a big loss. So January, I withdrew 2K. April, I withdrew 3K. And July, which I was saying was my best month, I only had 1 loss in July. And I reduced my position size. I reduced my number of trades to 1 to 4. And I withdrew $6,000 in July. And so now I'm on track now for August to make a withdrawal with these 4 accounts, 8K, and then have 4 more evals coming up. And, you know, I actually went back and watched the first interview I did with you. And I had said, like, you know, hopefully I'm going to have 8 50K accounts coming up soon. And I thought that was going to be 1 or 2 weeks later, but here we are 6 or 7 months later. You know?
Well, this whole thing is a process, and we continue to get better and develop every step along the way. Now, I did want to take a quick moment. Of course, we're talking about the evaluations. We're going to be announcing those winners here in just a second, but I want to make one quick special announcement. Next week, we have an exciting show for you. Daryl Martin, CEO of Apex Trader Funding, will be live on the show with us. And this will be one not to miss. We're going to be talking a little bit different. He's not going to necessarily be talking about strategies and what he does, but he's going to be talking about that bigger picture and what has helped him develop one of the biggest, actually the biggest futures funding company that we know of out there. So don't miss that. That's definitely going to be exciting. Fasil, thank you so much for taking some time with me today. I appreciate it. It's always such an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. We definitely have a lot of fun when we get to do this. And we look like we have some winners here. Juan, Billy, and Nina. Congratulations. You will be getting an email today regarding those evaluations. Make sure you get those set up ASAP and get started and take full advantage of that opportunity. I thank you all for hanging out with us today so much. It's been absolutely an honor and a pleasure. I'll see you guys soon.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting